I was only following orders. This was the defense provided by Adolf Eichmann at his trial for his role in the extermination of millions of Jews in Nazi Germany. Eichmann's defense intrigued social psychologist Stanley Milgram, so he designed an experiment to study the extent to which people will go to obey orders from authority. Subjects were recruited under the premise that they were participating in a research study on memory and learning. Through a rigged draw, the subject was always assigned the role of a teacher and was asked to teach word pairs to a confederate, posing as another subject, playing the role of a learner. For every mistake that the learner made while recalling word pairs, the teacher was instructed to administer shocks ranging from 15 to 450 volts in increments of 15. Don't worry, the learner did not actually receive any of the shocks. Recorded grunts and protests were played in response to the shocks as per a predetermined schedule. Whenever the teacher refused to comply, the experimenter used prods such as, "The experiment requires that you continue, and you have no other choice, you must go on." How far would you go? If you're thinking that there is no way that you would administer the shocks, you are like most of the people that Milgram surveyed. In fact, even psychiatrists predicted that only 1 in 1,000 subjects will go all the way up to 450 volts. But were they right? Well, prepare to be amazed. A staggering 65% of the subjects administered shocks all the way up to 450 volts. What's more, men and women did not differ in their rates of obedience. However, rates of obedience did vary with changes in the experimental design. In experiments in which teachers were made to be emotionally close to the learner, for instance when they could hear the learner's protests, watch him suffer, or were required to touch him to administer the shocks, obedience decreased. In other words, teachers were less likely to harm the learner when he was emotionally close, and more likely to harm the learner when he was depersonalized. Milgram's shocking findings led him to believe that otherwise courteous and gentle people can behave cruelly and inhumanely towards their fellow human beings when instructed to do so by authority. The good news, however, is that 1 out of every 3 subjects in the Milgram experiment disobeyed authority when the instructions violated their values. So yes, social influence is powerful, but so is the individual.